Now we're going to talk about addition of real numbers. And by real numbers, we mean any number on the real number line. So if you have, for example, the number 1, 2, and 3, and so on going to the right, and -1, -2, and -3, and so on going to the left, and fractional values too, like you could have the number 1.6 right here, or -2.2 right there. Any numbers, positive or negative, anywhere on the number line, you need to be able to add these, and taking into account whether the numbers are positive or negative. And it turns out that to do this, the concept of absolute value comes in real handy. So let's take a look for a second at this idea of absolute value. Think about the number 5. 5, we said, can be thought of as a movement starting at 0, a movement on the number line 5 units. So we go 5 to the right, and we end up there at that point, number 5. Now think about the number -5. A very similar picture, except we move to the left. In fact, these two diagrams, the one up top here and the one on the bottom, are a lot alike. In both cases, we move 5 units away from 0. The positive 5 is to the right and the -5 is to the left, but in both cases, the distance we move is 5. So the number 5 and the number -5 are sort of alike. They're both the same size in an absolute sense. That is, they're both the same distance from 0. We say that both numbers have an absolute value of 0. Now the number 5 really is further to the right, and the number -5 is further to the left. So the number 5 is clearly greater than the number -5 because it's further to the right. And that's really what greater than and less than mean. Numbers that are further to the right are greater. So the number 5 is greater than the number -5. But there's also a sense in which they're the same, and that sense is the distance from 0. They both represent a movement of the same amount, a movement of the same magnitude. So they're the same size in an absolute sense. And that understanding of absolute value will come in handy when we start to add numbers that have negative signs on them. So now I'll show you how we would use this idea of absolute value to add negative numbers. First, though, let's think about adding two positive numbers. Think about adding 5 and 2. So we're just going to imagine 5 plus 2. We can picture that on the number line as 5. That's 5 to the right, puts us there. And then 2 puts us there. So 5 plus 2 obviously is 7. Now think about -5 plus -2. And we can put parentheses around those. -5 plus -2, what is that? Well, the -5 would be 5 to the left, puts us there. And then the -2 is 2 more to the left, puts us there. And now the point here, what you want to see is that these two diagrams are very, very similar. In fact, they're basically the same. It's just in this case, we go to the right because we have positive numbers, and in this case, we go to the left because we have negative numbers. So if you add two numbers and they're both negative, you can just momentarily forget about the negative signs and add the absolute values of the numbers. So when we think of this -5 and the -2, we're just going to go 5 and then 2. And just keep in mind that we're moving to the left because they're negative. So we can just take 5 and 2, and we know that 5 and 2 is 7. And then since we're going to the left, we make the result negative. So as far as a procedure goes, or a technique for getting your answer, you add the absolute values of the numbers. I'm just going to add 5 and 2 and get 7, and then make the result negative. So that's my answer. So here are some examples of that concept at work. What if I'm told to add -3 plus -8? Well, in my mind, I just forget about the negative signs, and I think about the absolute value of each number, 3 and 8. And I know that 3 plus 8 is 11. 3 plus 8 is 11. And I know that these are both negative, so in my mind, I'm picturing moving 3 to the left and 8 to the left for a total of 11 to the left. So I get -11 for my answer. Here's another example. -2.7 plus -1.1. What is that? Well, in my mind, I think 2.7 plus 1.1. That's a total of 3.8. So I'm going 2.7 to the left, and I'm going 1.1 to the left for a total of 3.8 to the left. So my answer is negative 3.8, and it's negative because it's to the left on the number line. And in my mind, I'm actually picturing moving along the number line those distances. Negative 800 plus negative 200. What is that? Well, 800 plus 200, that's easy. That's 1,000, and these are both to the left, so it's 800 to the left and 200 to the left for a total of 1,000 to the left. So my answer is negative 1,000.